And welcome on in to Pro Wrestling Talk STL here on 590 The Fan, KFNS, 590thefan.com. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by John Marecek. And John, we've been doing the show 3 weeks now. This is what it's all about. We have a premier live event to talk about tonight. It is the Royal Rumble, my favorite pay-per-view of the entire year, and it happens tonight.
Where's the age group going to cut off? This never going to call it a premium live event. Like, I will never be able to call it that. It is a pay-per-view.
The fact that I was able to just do that on the fly the way I did is more impressive than being able to getting the radio station and stuff right every single time so far.
Oh, when you nailed the throw to break on the first episode without looking at paper, that was one of the greatest things you've ever done in your life. The premium live event, the PLE, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. No.
Hey, you guys going to check out the PLE this week?
Yeah.
No one knows what you're talking about.
No,
everybody knows that a pay-per-view is important.
But we have it tonight. Hey, we have it tonight. The Royal Rumble tonight, John. We have a few things to talk about before we get into the Rumble stuff. Most importantly, for those people watching on the ClaibsOnline YouTube page right now, in our second segment, I found it, folks. The Mountain Dew Pitch Black. I have it, John. I found it. What, Tuesday? Is that when I texted you? Monday,
It took
Tuesday?
about 9 stores for you to find the dang thing.
Yeah, but I have it, not opened. You can see it right there, still sealed, and I will I'll bust it open in the second segment, and we'll do a live taste test on the air.
That's fantastic. These things that on eBay, it's $30 to get a 12-pack. This stuff's hard to find. You can sell that bottle right there for it is up there right now, $8.
I don't know what I bought this for, but a Circle K in Belleville is where I was able to find it. There's not going to be a whole lot of AEW talk on the show this week. It's one of the premier, one of the top shows of WWE, so we're giving them all of our attention. I do just want to say quickly before we move on to a lot of WWE stuff. Wednesday night Dynamite with Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal in the main event of that show. Just extremely well done. I'm glad that Tony Khan was able to get Warner Brothers Discovery to sign off on allowing Mark Briscoe to go out there and honor his brother, and Jay Lethal to honor his best friend, or one of his best friends, in the way they did.
That was about perfect. Like, the timing was perfect. The match was perfect. The end was perfect. And I think there's no way they could have drawn it up any better. It was masterful. And to see Jay Lethal when he came out, I didn't know how the hell he was going to do the match.
No, you saw the difference there. You saw the difference there between a real life brother who has been dealing with this for a week and just wanted to get and do anything else than just be around family and be part of that situation. You saw that, and then you saw a friend grieving, two very different ways. And it's Jay Lethal was able to snap out of it, or I think Mark made him snap out of it pretty quick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool when he chopped him the one time, and then Jay kind of smiled at him like, "Oh, okay, so we're doing this for real, huh?" No, it was fantastic, and it was very, very emotional to watch at the end when you had, and it wasn't just the Ring of Honor people out there, there were people in the AEW locker room, but when you see the Ring of Honor guys and you hear Ian and Caprice on the call, and you've got Paul Turner and Bobby Cruz as part of it, and that was Tony Khan did everything right, and I love the fans chanting "Thank you, Tony," and that was perfect. Kudos to them. They could not have done that any better. Everyone involved.
So that's how, so it ended there. We'll get back to more AEW stuff tomorrow and their road to Revolution. But the Royal Rumble, it is tonight. Raw had their anniversary show, their 30th anniversary show this past Monday. Brought back a lot of stars. We talked about that last week on the show. No surprises, really, outside of Brock Lesnar at the very end, but nobody showed up that wasn't advertised in the show. I think we are good with ever having to see Hulk Hogan on WWE TV again. The crowd didn't care. He just, you know what? It's 2023. I think we can move on past that.
I think him and Ric Flair both. It's just I think it was really neat to get them out there one more time. It was cool for people my age in their mid-40s or older who grew up, and that's when you became a wrestling fan, was because of Hulk Hogan and because of Ric Flair, two of my favorites of all time. But yeah, the kids, they're a kids product, and the kids who are at those shows don't have a clue who either of those two people are. Ric Flair is Charlotte's dad,
Right, and
and that's all he
that'll keep him
is.
around. Him being Charlotte's dad will keep him around, and him until Orton or Cena or at somebody at some. I mean, until I guess those are the only two feasible people right now break the 16-time record. That keeps Ric Flair relevant for the rest of his life.
And Rick will always be able to sell tickets and make money just being Ric Flair, and he doesn't need to do that on a WWE show anymore. And Hulk Hogan doesn't need to do that on a WWE show anymore. If there's a specific reason why they individually need to be at a specific event, like you just said, if Rick needs to be there for something like that, then that's different. But yeah, just you almost need to like start this at the Attitude Era and forward at this point.
So those two things, the Hogan, the Flair. Okay, move past that. Let's look at the positives. Let's look at the good things that happened this past Monday night on Raw 30. The Bloodline story, which we will get into when we talk Royal Rumble. I'm trying to think of the last time a story has been told as perfectly as what they are doing with the Bloodline right now, and the ability for them to switch from the acknowledgement ceremony to the tribal trial of Sami Zayn and be able to have that segment go as well as it did. It just, I mean, all parties involved, kudos to them for what they are doing, because it has just been, it's going to be a long time before we see a story told the way that we're seeing the Bloodline right now.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing that you can put a production together like that long, all those clips from months and months of show, and be able to figure out, let's find this one for this, and this one for that, and be able to do it in a matter of a few days, to be in the biggest segment that was going to air on your biggest Raw probably of the entire year until you go into the one after WrestleMania, the one before WrestleMania. It was incredible. Everybody, the production and creative, and then the talent to pull it all off. We talked about the AEW thing going perfect. I'm sure this didn't go perfect, but to everybody watching, it was amazing.
And I mean, then to go straight from that whole segment into the match, and the way the match went between the Usos and Judgment Day, with Sammy coming in at the end for Jay in that match, and the way the near falls, and the amount of times I thought the Judgment Day was going to win the belts, and I thought it was going to be Sami Zayn's fault. The amount of near falls. It goes to show, I mean, Roman Reigns right now is at that level of superstar where he's untouchable. And once this is over with, he's going to be able to show up on our TV every 4 or 5 months whenever he wants to, whenever you have a big match that makes sense for him. He's at that level now. But the roles that Jimmy and Jay and Sammy are playing in the Bloodline story, everybody is just playing their part perfectly.
And it works out when you have a stable. You don't have to have your champion wrestle all the time. And I think that is important. It's awful if you have, there was time when he was champion, he wrestled every week. He was wrestling on Raw every week, for God's sake. So overexposed. To be able to have a stable of guys that can go out there and they can keep you relevant. All you have to do is stand there, come out, hold the belt up, talk for a couple of minutes, and then they're going to go out and perform and have the match that you don't have to have. That's exactly what you need for your champion to be relevant.
And then you go straight from that. And that's, I guess I missed where it was, the first hour was commercial free. I missed the advertising for that. There was a hope at some point that the whole show was just going to be commercial free and they would just find time during it to plug Whoppers and Pizza Hut, because that's the only two commercials that seem to run during the breaks anyway. So they're going through and they're doing that. Next thing, LA Knights in the ring. I knew right away what we were getting out of that segment, because it had been kind of revealed that Undertaker was going to be a part of this. I don't think anybody was expecting the American Badass to come out. And it was another case of, okay, it sucked that the motorcycle didn't work the way, I don't know if it worked the way they wanted it to, but Undertaker's been riding them for a while now. I think he knew how to get it up and down the ramp. and make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. But I think that shows what WWE thinks they have in LA Knight to put him in that situation with Undertaker.
Was that a big deal for LA Knight or a big deal for Bray Wyatt? I think LA Knight was nothing more than a prop for a big moment for Bray Wyatt to get.
But you put him out there and you show him he really did not back down to the Undertaker.
Yeah, but he was really but he was a prop. I mean, it didn't matter who was in the ring with him. He was just he was there to help Bray.
But you've heard stories in the past of wrestlers, legends like that, The Rock turning down people to work with. It's you know what, I'm not going to do a segment with that guy. Undertaker easily could have said, you know what, hey, I just want it to be me and Bray. I don't need to get in the ring. I don't need to give LA Knight that push. But then seeing, reading afterwards that those two actually have a connection in that they were both managed in their career by Percy Pringle, by Paul Bearer, knowing that there is that connection there is that, I guess, brotherhood of sorts between the two of them does make it a pretty cool, after the fact story.
Would you have been pissed if you're in attendance, you hear the gong, and then the damn badass song comes on?
No.
As a Taker fan, you would have been fine with it?
Yes,
I'd have hated
because the reason is because when is the last time we saw the American Badass come out?
Yeah, but do you care about the American Badass?
You
care about the American Badass. If this is the last time I get a chance to see the entrance and I get that, I would be disappointed.
But I mean,
in person,
it hasn't been for 20 years. I think not hearing the Rollin', not hearing the Limp Bizkit entrance, that would have upset me. I would have wanted the Limp Bizkit entrance
instead of the Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see? I forget the writer, former writer, when I guess they were hiring hundreds of writers every few months at WWE, tweeted out that
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Who was it? No, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. Tweeted out that in a meeting, he said that he really loved the American Badass Undertaker, and Bruce punched him in the leg and said, "Don't ever say that again because Vince hates the American Badass Undertaker." It's beautiful.
It's you know what? To me, it's a one-off. If we never see it again, okay. I'm sure Undertaker showed up and he's the one that wanted to do that.
Hell yeah! You think he wanted to go do the whole thing, put all that crap on it, go do the long walk and all that stuff? That's a much easier thing. I just ride a bike in there for about 2 minutes and I'm out.
And you know what? Hey, they put over Bray Wyatt, and it continues to connect 2023 Bray Wyatt with 1998 Undertaker.
I'm not even arguing with you on this. I'll just let you go ahead and say whatever it is that you want to say, whatever stupidity you want to throw out there. You just go for it.
Undertaker debuted in 1990. He was 8 years into his career when you had the Kane Undertaker storyline, which I think is the direction we are getting out of Bray and Uncle Howdy. This is now year 9 for Bray Wyatt in the WWE. So they've been around so I don't want to sit here and go, oh, they're at different points, or Undertaker's a legend, 30 years, all this. No, they were both 8 years, 9 years into their WWE career. 32, Undertaker in 1997, Bray Wyatt right now, 35. So they're in similar stages of their lives right now. I would argue that Bray Wyatt's probably younger at 35 right now than Undertaker was at 32 back in 1997.
Body-wise, for sure.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. As far as health and body-wise go, yes.
Oh,
things they probably put into their bodies, yes. I'm gonna guess Bray has maybe consumed a little less Jack Daniels than Undertaker.
Taker's had a lot more fun.
Bray Wyatt's won 3 titles already. Undertaker up to that point had only won 2 titles. They are on similar career paths right now, and this long-term storyline. Kane debuted in October at Savage Center, Kiel Center, whatever it was called at the time. They did not wrestle each other until April of that year. We know that they're not. At some point, Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt are going to cross paths. At some point. And you needed other matches, you needed other storylines to get Undertaker to that match in April against Kane. That's all LA Knight is right now. LA Knight is the, whatever Undertaker had going on with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I'm not saying LA Knight is Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Don't start with me on that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to have other pieces in place there.
I guess that's kind of my thing, is that, for one, Taker was a consistent worker with time off, as opposed to Bray, who was gone for 2 years and is making a big return. And that's my whole thing with it, is if he was around and this was just a change and then you're going to have him in this match, that's one thing. But he's the one making the big return. He's the one, to me, who should be against someone who is at a higher level on the card than he is at this point, instead of him elevating someone who's not higher on the card. Like if it was reversed and Bray had been around and just doing this angle just appeared, I'd have no problem with it. But to me, when Bray was coming back, I even said it before all this happened, he needs to be in there with somebody at the top and make him a megastar. And I don't know that, for me, when it was LA Knight, it was like a letdown. And then the match, which we don't know what it is still, just the name of a soda is the match. It was like another letdown. And then this is all, it is dragging out so far. I can't wait till this part of it's over and we can move on to the next part, because this Uncle Howdy being just a guy who comes on the screen and Bray delivering stupid nothing promo is old. It's just way too old.
We saw the last thing I want to mention about Raw 30 before we move on, and the DX segment. I think we see what they think of Gunther, because they brought Imperium out. Imperium's a SmackDown show. They bring Imperium out. They bring Gunther out center stage. All of DX is terrified of him, and they put him over. Yeah, Imperium lost the match, but Gunther looks like a legit monster when you have legends in the ring like DX and Kurt Angle, and you don't
everybody's favorite fill-in.
That's you know what? If that becomes Kurt Angle's gimmick for the rest of his professional wrestling life, I love it.
I do too.
Yeah,
I agree.
Find places to put him in.
It just where'd you come from?
Right.
That's Kurt Angle's gimmick.
Yeah, that's a great gimmick for him. All right. That's in the rearview mirror now. We need to look ahead to tonight. It is the Royal Rumble. We have so much to talk about. We have the card to talk about. We have predictions to talk about. We have all of that left in just an hour show here on Pro Wrestling Talk STL here on 590 The Fan, KFNS, and 590thefan.com. All right. Here we go. Segment 2. Start it at 18.
All right. I need the card.
And welcome back in to Pro Wrestling Talk STL here on 590 The Fan, KFNS, 590thefan.com, each and every Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on 590. It is Royal Rumble night, and we have a lot to get to in the card. Predictions coming up at the end of the show today. Not as we normally have with a Royal Rumble, not a huge card, not a whole lot of matches on the card, and that's what happens when you have 2 matches on the card that are going to go an hour long. If you remember last year, if you went to the show in St. Louis last year, they had what the 2 matches, the 2 title matches. You had the mixed tag match. You had the 2 women's matches last year.
I remember.
Yeah, I think you had both women's matches on the card last year. Becky Lynch versus Doudrop, and then
I
can't even remember what the other.
It's such a long night if you're at
the
darn thing.
I've
asked you, and here's a moment I'm going to ask you. How would you feel if they split them up and they did the women at a different time of year, and they had it affiliated with a different pay-per-view? Whether that make it be
that's not the Royal Rumble. That's not the Royal Rumble. The match goes so, but it goes so fast. It goes so fast.
Doesn't.
I think it does. I've been to 2 of them now, and first, it starts off 1 and 2 in the ring. Next thing you know, you're at 25, and you're like, where'd the time go? Okay, I think it flies by. I really do. So
two of them in the same show is exhausting, and mainly because there's no break. There's very, very little break time. and you need to have a break where people can run to go get a soda or run to the restroom. You sit there for an hour, and then that poor match that's after the women's Royal Rumble, no one watches because they're all out doing something else.
The women's title match that's on the card, Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. This one, the only thing to watch in this one is going to be what I think the big thing is what happens to Alexa Bliss's character. What's going to happen with her and her affiliation with Bray Wyatt? How is that going to play out? I think in the night. So it's hard to predict what will happen in that. But I think I know which way they're going with WrestleMania, and I think we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know what the next. I think it's more about the evolution of Alexa Bliss than it is about the actual title match.
How do we get to Alexa Bliss how she was before the whole Bray Wyatt thing when Bray was there the first time? Badass, doesn't give a crap. Just attitude, Alexa Bliss. That's the Alexa Bliss that I want.
We got to go away for a long time again. I mean, she's
exactly
away for a long time, and I think Bray needs to. We need to see another evolution of Bray Wyatt. That's
unfortunate. Like because they could have done it here, and they elected to bring the Bray story into it when you didn't have to. And when that happened, that was really disappointing to me. I'm with you. I don't see any way that Bianca Belair doesn't win. And to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't make sense if anything else happened.
Yeah. So that's the one women's match on the card. Charlotte does not have a match. Going into Friday Night SmackDown, Charlotte does not have a match on the card. I know you think she ends up in the Rumble. I think it makes sense for her to also be in the Rumble with the belt and see what happens as that goes on. So we'll see that. And I will say this too. I do want to say this just in case something does happen on SmackDown. John, you and I are recording this before SmackDown airs. So
correct.
This is this is
a disclaimer for that.
Full disclosure on that. Which brings us, John, to the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Mountain Dew Pitch Black.
That soda has to taste better than whatever we're going to watch.
With a blast of dark citrus punch, flavored with other natural flavors.
What is dark citrus punch?
By the way, I have not drank soda since I was 17, 18 years old.
I can't believe you're going to just this. Why end it for this?
I mean, it's not like it's been a straight it's not like I'm. I've had soda. Like I've had drinks of it. This isn't like the first time I'm doing it in 20 years.
Well, then why'd you say it was?
I said I have not drank soda. Like
you're about to drink soda.
Yeah, I have not gone out and been gotten a 2 liter or 20 ounce of something and drank all of it. Like it's different. Yes.
No, it's not. But you have not finished. You have not completed drinking a soda in 17 years.
Yes.
All right, fine. That's okay. more accurate.
Okay. By the way, looking at the back of this, I remember why. 75 grams of sugar in this thing. Yeah. It is what it is.
Good God.
Yeah.
I got a thing of Coke behind me, and that's only at 39 grams.
Yeah. I can tell you I'm not going to drink this whole thing.
How terrible is it?
It's not terrible. I'm not going to drink it all, though.
But all it is just Mountain Dew with some extra citrus stuff in it. And we put some food coloring in it. And we call it dark citrus.
And they made it purple. But they're calling it pitch black.
Dark citrus is, well, maybe that's it. The match is going to be in purple.
Instead of the red, like the Hell in the Cell.
As much as I am hating the idea of the pitch black match, I'll take whatever the hell this is over the red match. God, it can't be worse than the red match. Whoever's idea that was. Are you going to be able to do the rest of the show?
I'm going to be jittery the rest of the show. I got the Macho Man fingers going.
Did you let Nikki know you might have some twitches later?
After 2 drinks of it. Oh, yeah.
Put it down. Let's have Hudson try some.
He doesn't need the sugar. Do we have any expectations for the pitch black match?
I have none. I don't know what and that's kind of what I hate that. Like, how do you look forward to something you have no idea what it is? Like, there's nothing. Like, when Hell in a Cell was announced, you knew you were getting a massive cage with a roof on it. When Elimination Chamber was announced, they showed you what the cage was going to look like. This is like the cinematic matches that we had no idea what they were going to be, but that was fine because there was no fans were allowed. So who cares if it was a cinematic? They could have they pre-taped lots of stuff for pay-per-views when there were no fans throughout COVID. But this is like, you've got however many thousands of people are going to be in the Alamo Dome, plus all the people at home. You've got to put on some sort of an event that can be enjoyed by both. You can't put 30,000 people in the Alamo Dome and then show them a match they can't see, or one that's not in front of them. Like, you can't do cinematic stuff in front of with a live audience anymore. It doesn't work. People don't pay tickets to watch TV.
You do have, I mean, this isn't like the Boiler Room Brawl where they start in the back and they had it all on TV. You can go to the back and have something pre-recorded already and make it cinematic where the lights go off and you see different characters appear. That's fine.
But you knew that going in.
But I think that's what you're going to get. I think that's where this match is going to lead, is backstage, and then you're going to see something that was recorded earlier in the day.
I just don't like it. Maybe it'd be different if you let people know ahead of time. But if you're expecting
I think it's fine low on the card. I think it's fine to do when you have the 2 Rumble matches and the Roman Reigns match on the card.
But it's again, this is Bray's return match. This should be a big deal. Yeah. And here we are like, are we going to be able to see it? Is it going to be in the ring? What are they going to do? We have no idea.
I think it is a big deal because we didn't know what to expect when The Fiend came out the first time. We didn't know what that was. All we did was see glimpses of him. We did not know what The Fiend was until he walked out there against Finn Balor with his head in a lantern.
But you knew you were getting a wrestling match.
But you didn't know what the Fiend was.
That stupid ass red light was going to be on.
The red light wasn't on for
that one it wasn't.
Balor.
Not right away.
No, it wasn't. But you didn't know. You had no idea what was going to happen in that match. You didn't know what he was going to be wearing, and we don't know that for this Bray Wyatt either.
But it doesn't matter if he comes out and you don't like what he's wearing.
I don't think we know what this character is yet, the way we didn't know what The Fiend was.
What do you want it to be? What do you want his character to be? Like, what do you want this in this match?
I want it to be multiple personalities, a dangerous schizophrenic. I think that's what he is. I think that's what he is and where he's going with this. That he is the new supernatural character in professional wrestling and can morph into many different beings. And one day we could get this Bray Wyatt. One day we can get The Fiend. One day we can get Firefly Funhouse. One day we can get the Backwoods Cape Fear. I think
that's the Bray I love.
And that's, guys have to change. My favorite Undertaker was Ministry of Darkness Undertaker.
He was terrifying.
You can't have that all the time.
No, you can't.
Okay, so I think that's again, much like The Undertaker, Bray Wyatt's going to change many times throughout his career.
But we don't need it in a match. We need one guy in a match. Just one to be in the match. I get that idea and that personality thing. But we haven't seen that through this whole ordeal, which would be odd that day is the day that everything is triggered, which I guess can be part of the story with whatever the heck Uncle Howdy's supposed to be.
And I think we find out that, and I think we find out other characters too.
God,
I think that's one thing we get. I think one thing we get out of this is I think we get the introduction of a new character.
I sure as hell hope so. Like, it can't keep going on.
Yeah.
You got to get there. Like you said, it has to evolve. It's dragged out. Like, trying to get to here has maybe taken longer than expected when they first started this whole thing.
Take another
time for there to be new.
Another spoonful of sugar here.
Put it down. Put it down. Now you're an addict. That's it. See, it's working.
Any chance Bray Wyatt loses to Kevin Owens?
To LA Knight, you mean? Or
no, I'm sorry. Any chance I moved on. Any chance Roman Reigns loses to Kevin Owens?
No. No, there's no way.
0%. 0%.
It's pretty close to 0%. I would have changed that more recently, but no, I don't think so anymore. And I think the only way that it would make sense for him to lose is if The Rock was going to be his opponent at WrestleMania. Then it makes sense to drop it, because the last thing I want to see is a one-off match for a championship at the biggest show of the year.
Okay. We'll talk about that biggest show of the year. We'll talk about our Rumble predictions here in the final segment of Pro Wrestling Talk STL, as we have a lot to get to in the final 20 minutes or so of the show, and we will do so right after this. You're listening to Pro Wrestling Talk STL. I'm Joe. He's John. It's 590 The Fan. KFNS, 590thefan.com.
That's seamless. Your reading of non-reading, seamless.
All right, we got 22 minutes to go here.
Awesome.
So we have till 53 on the counter. We will go here in 3, 2. Final segment today of Pro Wrestling Talk STL. 590 The Fan, KFNS, 590thefan.com. Hey, Pro Wrestling Talk STL, PWT STL, brought to you each and every week by Central State Sandwiches, the new sandwich and appetizer food truck opening in 2023. I saw pictures. Kyle posted pictures of the food truck, the construction.
How's it look?
Under construction. It looks awesome. I can't wait for him to get that out on the road. I already have a few places for him that I'm going to try to get him out there too. You've heard the commercials now. You need to go find him online, centralstatesandwiches.com. As if you want to, if you don't want to wait for the truck, you know where you can go is Bootleg at Bob's, 3457 Morganford in Tower Grove South. Every Thursday night from 7 to midnight, Kyle's back there slinging sandwiches for Central State Sandwiches. All of them inspired by the Midwest, like their Chicago-style Italian beef. They also have twists on other regional favorites, like the New York Bodega favorites, the chopped cheese, my favorite. They also have all of their ingredients. Everything is locally sourced. You get your bread from Union Loafers. You get your produce from Soulard Farmers Market. Find out more about them at centralstatesandwiches.com. That's Central State Sandwiches, inspired sandwiches from the gateway to the West. John, tonight is the Royal Rumble. It is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. You have the men's match, the women's match. You have a few other matches thrown in there as filler. We got a few things we need to get to for the match tonight. We got to pick our winners.
Yes.
We have to pick maybe not our full final four, but who's going to surprise us. We each need to pick 3 surprises that we think show up tonight. I'm also going to I want to do a little back and forth here, a little yes, no on a few guys as well that we might see. So that's what I want to do here as we wrap it up. If you want, you can tweet at us at Joe Roderick, at John Marecek. You can tweet at us throughout the day and let us know who your favorites are. We're going to tweet out ours as well and get your thoughts on this. So quickly, because we haven't talked about it much, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of care being put behind it. Quickly on the women's match, I just want your winner for who you have winning the women's match, John.
First, isn't it sad that is, you're right. The women's match is like, oh God, we only got 5 people in it. We're going to have to put some more people in it.
I feel like the men's match was that way last year. The men's match was like that last year because you knew it was going to lead to Brock and Roman. You just didn't know how they were going to get there, and they decided to get there through the Rumble. That's
true. All right, so my winner, I had it at 2, and either of these will work, and I'd be happy with either, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't either of these 2, and that's Charlotte or Rhea Ripley.
I think Rhea Ripley, yeah. I think she's the obvious choice here. Charlotte makes sense if you want to unify the titles.
And they had that little moment in the ring at Raw 30. What the hell's the point of having them in there together if maybe there isn't something there? And that kind of spurred that thought for me. Without that, I'd be with you 100% on Rhea Ripley.
I think the thing that has helped Rhea Ripley get to the possibility of being a favorite in the Rumble is her work with Judgment Day and how over Judgment Day is right now on Raw and how much they have improved over the last few months. I think that is shot Rhea Ripley up to that main event, WrestleMania main event level now too. And putting Rhea Ripley against Bianca Belair, God, that'd be a hell of a match.
And tormenting her for 2 months.
Yes.
Oh, it'd be sensational. It'd be great television.
Because then think about it, because you have her out there to torment her, and then you bring her Bianca Belair's husband into this, Montez Ford. You bring the Street Profits, and you have the Street Profits and Judgment Day able to work together for a few months too. So you have the ability to carry all of these together.
Yeah, no, I think it would make for a phenomenal match, and one that you could put at the top of the card on Saturday night WrestleMania weekend.
So that's that. There we go. That's our women's match. So as far as the men's match goes, 3 surprises each side.
You go
Who
first.
do you have?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Give me one. Give me one of yours first. We'll go back and forth.
I think the easiest layup one is Gable Stevenson, who is Triple H's adopted son, who will be appearing in the Royal Rumble. That's a layup.
He didn't appear last year, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe he did. I don't think so. If he did, it was forgettable.
Yeah, I feel like he has appeared at some Rumble.
He's been at stuff.
Maybe it was 2 years. Maybe it was the COVID year when it was the
Maybe.
real fans. I think so. If we're going layups for this, I think Jay White.
Do you really think that's a layup?
I just because he's done in New Japan. He has said
he's not done yet. He still has a match.
He said that he wants to go to the U.S. and start doing stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
New Japan owes WWE a favor for Carl Anderson wrestling with them. I think the favor is Jay White.
We are in agreement. There's going to be someone from New Japan as the favor returned for this match. It's just a matter of who that favor is going to be. And I like the idea of Great Muta being it because he is someone who has had an amazing career all over the world and has appeared on WWE television 0 times.
Great Muta just had his retirement match recently with Sting. He teamed with Sting and Darby Allin. Does that ruin it if he has his retirement match and then shows up at the Royal Rumble?
No, because he has retirement match against Sting, who in the United States, those two are together. They're connected forever. And that's a perfect final match. But if you were to have a chance to get into a WWE event one time, it's the last time in your career, it ruins nothing. That's just a special moment for him to get that one thing that he's never had in his career. I think it'd be cool. Now, again, this gets back to like what you said about fans not knowing who Hogan was. If the Great Muta comes out, how many people in the building have any idea that that's the Great Muta who comes out?
If you put Great Muta on the screen right away, no,
really
if you put that on the screen, I think fans, I think it gets a huge pop.
There'll be enough that remember him and know who he is.
Yes.
With 35,000 people in the building.
Right.
Yes. I'm with you. I would hope so. And it would be really, really cool. As a WCW fan, an NWA fan, it would be that'd be one of my favorite moments of the show.
If you want to talk great pops for a Rumble appearance, could you imagine the Alamo Dome if all of a sudden over the screen you hear "Always Ready" come over the screen? How many of those 35,000, 40,000 fans, if you see the skull with the headband on it and you hear the words to the Always Ready Matt Cardona theme song come on the screen, how much does that place pop for Matt Cardona? The return of Zack Ryder, but as Matt Cardona coming back for WWE.
It would be huge, but I don't see it happening.
That's my number 2.
And I understand.
That's my number 2.
He's certainly doing a great job of teasing it by putting all this Royal Rumble crap on his Twitter feed. He's having all kinds of fun with it. The only thing with Matt Cardona, do you bring him in for a one-off just because? Or isn't he someone that you want to bring in and when he comes in, you want him to be there? And I ask that because he's got a lot of bookings between now and March. And he's not, as the top guy on those cards, it'd be a real jerk move to bail on those shows to GCW, who, I mean, to put Brett Lauderdale in that spot, he is where he is because of Brett Lauderdale and GCW.
Do you bring him back to see the reaction, let him finish out those dates, and then you talk storylines with him?
Maybe. I think if you bring him in, you bring him in. I think he's going to be. I think you bring him in and you make him a star. I think he
you
is.
Let
a
him.
star.
I mean, he has done a great job the last 3 years of writing his own stories for all of these different promotions. So I think you give him the reins to that, and you
There's
tell
no
him
such thing in that company. No matter who's running it, you can't. That just doesn't.
And not 100%, but I'm saying, okay, you know what? Here, you got a great reaction. We do want to bring you back. Finish up your dates and throw us ideas for how we're going to bring you back.
Of course. Yeah, you could do it that way. I'm one, though, that if you're going to bring him in, he needs to be there. I hate when they bring guys in like they did to Sting and Ronda Rousey, and then they're gone for 2 months. And that's what this would be. Because you're not going to sign Matt Cardona and let him go wrestle GCW events.
I think I feel like that's what they would do without the contract. Who's your third?
Logan Paul.
WWE has done a very good job of completely forgetting about the Pauls, or making us forget about the Pauls.
Making us forget about him.
Because the last thing we heard, he tore his ACL.
Yes.
If you follow him on social media, he did not tear his ACL. I don't know what his music is, but again, you have a big enough screen that you put Logan Paul's name up on the screen, the crowd will go wild.
Yes. It'll be insane. And again, I think that's an easy one.
And you could also, you could bring Jake Paul out there too.
Thought about that one too. It'd be kind of fun to have them both in the ring at the same time.
Just see what Jake Paul has. We don't know what Jake Paul can do in a ring. No. My third, and we'll get to this later. My third, I'm going with The Rock. I'm going to be stubborn, and I'm saying The Rock's number 30.
Okay, that's great.
The Royal Rumble is ruined for me if The Rock does not cut. If The Rock is not in San Antonio on Saturday.
Is there? Okay, I've been waiting to ask you this. I didn't want to text it to you because I want to ask you here. There's a difference between these two things. Are you okay as long as he just shows up and he's part of he appears on the show, or are you going to be disappointed if he's not in the actual match? Because I think they're two different questions.
No, just to be on the show. What I said, I will be upset if The Rock is not in San Antonio.
Well, he might be in San Antonio, but it doesn't mean he's going to be on the show.
If he's in San Antonio, he's on the show.
If the music hits and he comes out, you know that there's a reason why. And so that counts in your book, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, the music has to hit.
Music has to hit. He has to walk out.
Want him to be number 30. So
I don't want him in the match. If he comes back, he's only coming back for one thing, and that's to wrestle WrestleMania.
Yes.
He's not coming back to do the Royal Rumble and to get thrown out of the ring, and that'd be it.
What if Sammy throws him out?
That would be awesome. Are we to that point yet, or are we still finishing? Can I throw before we go? Because I know you're going to throw more Rock stuff. Two other surprises that
I'm going to throw. So I'm going to throw the yes and no's.
Oh, you're going to do yes and no's? Okay.
I'm going to throw.
We're going to do that now or later?
I can do that. No, I'll do that right now.
All right, we'll do it now.
I'll do that now. So my yes and no's of this, and if there's one you want to throw in there too,
okay,
you tell me
after you're done with yours. Then I'll see if I have any left.
Okay. Bad Bunny, yes or no?
Yes.
I also agree. Pat McAfee.
And I hope so.
Pat McAfee, yes or no?
Yes, and he better be. I'll be more disappointed if he's not there than The Rock.
Randy Orton, yes or no?
No.
We haven't heard anything about him. I think yes.
I don't think he wrestles again.
You let me know.
I don't think it's for a long time.
You let me know this weekend if you see him at any basketball games,
any
or
volleyball games,
or quick trips, trips in your neck of the woods over there. If you see him there on Saturday, please text me and let me know, and then I will not be waiting for him to appear on the Saturday.
If he really had a fusion surgery, I'm 5 months post-op on mine, a double, and it sucks, and it has nothing to do with muscles. It sucks. The pain in your spine and the knot in your spine. I can't imagine leaning on a wall, much less falling down.
My final yes, no, Shane McMahon.
No.
Last time we saw him was at the Royal Rumble here in St. Louis.
Yes, and then he was gone. He was supposed to be in a WrestleMania match, and he took his ball and he went home. or he was sent home. I can't remember.
He was sent home. He was sent home. Yes.
Sent home.
Who are yours? Who are your yes and no's?
Let's see. The only one that you didn't mention, Edge.
I think, yeah. I think that's a given. Yeah.
I think that's a for sure yes. He's also one that's disappeared and you forgot about. Totally forgot about it.
Every time I see Finn Balor, I know that at some point it's coming. I know at some point we're getting that.
Yeah, and it'll be awesome. And yes, I agree.
The only one, I know you and I disagree on this one. What about Matt Riddle?
No, he got out of rehab like a week ago.
I say yes because it's the Rumble. He can come out. He can do things in the Rumble. He doesn't need to wrestle on Raw. He doesn't need to do anything for a few weeks until he gets himself back into ring shape.
I think he needs to be out of rehab for a little while.
You don't have to be in ring shape to appear in the Royal Rumble. You don't ever. It has been proven many times.
Depends on what you want him to do. Do you want him to come in and get thrown out in 5 minutes?
I think that's fine.
That's a waste.
I think it's fine.
I think when he comes back, again, I'm of the belief that when you come back, you're ready to be back. And I don't know that you can say a week out of rehab, 2 weeks out of rehab, you're ready to be back yet.
All right. So that brings us to our winners for the men's match. I have been going back and forth between a few guys, and I think I'm settled in on two now for my. God, I think I'm going back to three. I think I'm at three right now. I don't know. Well, who do you have winning the Royal Rumble?
Until Monday night, it was Cody Rhodes. After Monday night, Sami Zayn should win. After seeing that and what that building was like for him, that was top of the card, megastar at the moment, not long term necessarily, but right now, the way this story has all played out, it would be awesome for that to be the main event. And it deserves to be the main event of a major pay-per-view, not a in between the Royal Rumble and do it at Elimination Chamber between that and Mania.
Sami Zayn wins, he's facing Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber.
Exactly. I think that's where it deserves. It should happen. As weird as that sounds, and I would not have thought it, but it's one of those that
in Montreal.
It's one of these things where the crowd and the fans kind of dictate what they want, and that's what they want. They want that match. And the Cody thing is a cool story, and there's plenty of time to do the Cody stuff. But with the Cody thing, it's almost like, well, we got months and months and months of this built into here, and this is what fans want. And now we're going to start at zero because Cody hasn't been there. And all we have is a few vignettes. And while it might be better for selling tickets, the Cody thing and it, being something that people outside of wrestling know that name, it may be better for the business side, for the wrestling fan side. I think Sami Zayn is the best thing at WrestleMania. Think
for a second. The two people you mentioned, Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes. If they win, let's just put it on each one of them. Let's just think about if they win, the different emotions that we would see in the ring, the different celebrations that we would see with each of them winning. Because if Cody Rhodes wins, the crowd is going crazy. Cody is in the ring on his knees in tears. It's a very emotional moment in the career of Cody Rhodes. In Texas too.
Mm-hmm.
If Sami Zayn wins, I feel like it would just be a face of pure shock and fear out of him, knowing what he just did and what that means.
And the crowd would go absolutely bonkers if he won. And I think they would be excited if Cody won. But I think if Sami Zayn wins, that place explodes. And I honestly, I wouldn't have said this 6 days ago, 7 days ago. I mean, when Cody came in, we said, that's the match. It's right there. If it's not Rock, it's Cody. But this whole story and Sami's evolution and the fans' love for him has completely changed me. And it has to be something if it's not already the plan, seriously been discussed. Because here's the other thing. Well, like when Daniel Bryan was left out of the Rumble and they booed the holy hell out of the rest of the match and Roman wins and he got booed out. The Rock got booed out of the building, for God's sakes. The fans were so pissed. You've got to be careful how you handle Sami Zayn if he's not going to win. You got to be more careful of that than you do if Cody throws Sami Zayn out, he might get booed.
That's the thing. If Sami gets eliminated, if it's down to the final two and it's Sami and Cody, does the bloodline eliminate Sami? And is that how we get to Roman versus Sami at Elimination Chamber?
God, I'd hate that. Oh, I'd hate that so much. Whoever wins the Rumble needs to do the elimination. Not God, I'd hate that.
Or just eliminate him in the final four. And then Cody eliminates Seth.
And that also takes away from if Cody were to win, because then Sami's still coming out of it as a bigger story than whoever wins. If it's done that way. It's an interesting spot there.
You get multiple stories, and you put Roman in multiple stories from that.
Do you think?
I do think. So Sami is one of my favorites. But if I'm going to sit here and say that The Rock is going to be number 30, then The Rock wins the Rumble,
which I'll hate.
So that's my pick, though.
I don't want
The Rock winning the Rumble.
The Rock winning would be that guy. I would hate it. Hate it so much. He doesn't.
What if The Rock shows up at the end of Roman's match and then the Rumble goes on last?
That's fine. If he just shows up, that's fine. Winning the Rumble, a hard no. I'd boo that. After I got excited when I heard music.
Final question before we get out of here. You've heard our picks. We want to hear yours. Tweet us at Joe Roderick, at John Marecek. Final thing before we get out of here. We know that it is in San Antonio again. Last time it was in San Antonio, the big boys were brought down to the ring on golf carts. Do we see the golf carts again in San Antonio this year?
How many big boys we got?
Braun Strowman. Probably Brock Lesnar.
And
he got a cart last time.
Braun did?
Yeah.
No carts.
Yeah.
No carts. No carts. The golf cart thing looks stupid. If you're going to do this, you have to do it WrestleMania 3 style. And you got to put them in the carts that look like the rings. If you're not going to go the extra mile, don't do it. Because the golf cart thing looked flipping stupid.
Brock would take about 5 minutes to walk down that ramp whenever he gets called.
He takes a long time, whether it's a short one or a long one anyway.
No one's going to tell him otherwise.
No, he's just going to do whatever he wants.
Is going to tell. Yeah, nobody is going to tell Brock Lesnar that he can't. He can't walk down the ring and take his time.
I'll tell you what, you put a cart in front of him, he's going to throw the guy who's driving the cart, and he's going to drive the cart himself.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Have a great time.
He'd drive it around the ring. He'd go all, hey, you know what? Put him in the bucket of a tractor and let him do that. Hey, that's going to do it for another week of Pro Wrestling Talk STL. Want to thank Central State Sandwiches for sponsoring us once again. Want to thank D-Bear for our new logo too. Check it out on the 590 The Fan website and see. No, you have to point that way. Yeah, point that way if you're watching on the ClaibsOnline YouTube page. He is John Marecek. I am Joe Roderick. Really this has been another episode of Pro Wrestling Talk STL, and you can find it right here on 590 The Fan, KFNS, and 590thefan.com.